Leadership in a tech environment based on Kouzes and Posner's 5 practices of exemplary leadership. Welcome to our Leadership in Tech training. By the end of this training, you will understand Kouzes and Posner's leadership practices, identify applications and software roles, discover how leadership drives tech innovation, recognize real-world leadership in software. Here are the vital leadership practices and their applications. Modeling the way through coding standards and collaboration. How to model. Set clear coding standards and lead by example. Action. Engage in code reviews and collaborative sessions. Inspiring a shared vision for future innovations. How to inspire. Create a compelling vision for the team. Action. Visualize future impacts during meetings. Challenging the process by embracing new technologies. How to challenge. Propose innovative solutions despite doubts. Action. Share insights and learn from failures. Enabling others to act through mentorship and support. How to enable. Empower others through skill-sharing workshops. Action. Encourage collaboration and learning. Encouraging the heart by celebrating successes. How to encourage. Celebrate team achievements and milestones. Action. Recognize efforts and foster team spirit. Let's review our understanding with some real-life scenarios. A product manager implements new coding standards. How should the team respond? Pause and reflect. Is this standard practice being followed? Your action should be: discuss improvements in the next meeting. A DevOps engineer suggests a new system migration. What should you do? Pause and consider. Is this a viable new approach? If yes, support the initiative and provide feedback. Now let's recap what you learned. Leadership drives innovation in tech. Modeling and sharing vision are essential. Empowerment and risk-taking lead to success. Celebrating achievements builds team morale. Embrace these practices in your team. Together, we can enhance innovation and satisfaction. Thank you for participating in our Leadership in Tech training.
All right, hello everyone. In this particular recording, we're going to address the model of the way. In this particular scenario, we have an HR person that faces crisis and didn't just delegate. He stepped in instead of sticking to his executive title. He actually, rolled up his sleeves and helped handle the customer complaints that they were facing at the time. This behavior models the organization values, particularly like teamwork, humility, accountability, and sets an example that leadership isn't about a title. It's about action, especially in a crunch time. So in our scenario, we're going to go ahead and do a role play on how this plays out during, real time. So William, go ahead, and Kyle, go ahead. William, I think you're going to play John, and then Kyle, you're going to play the actual, complaining people that, customers that you're facing. So go ahead.
Hello, sir. This is John from Chameleon Motor Cars. How can I help you? This is the HR department.
Yeah, you're from the motor car company. You see, we got a problem because we were driving our race cars earlier and your software update failed. It froze our screen right at the last part of this race. So we lost the race and it's your fault.
Okay, I'm trying to understand you because this is very important to us. We design cars that are meant to run all the time. We don't accept failure on our cars. It's very unusual this happen. Just tell me exactly what happened to you, sir, to the best of your abilities.
We updated the software today, and during the race, the screen froze, and the racer, we couldn't get any information from the car for the last 3 minutes of the race. That's unacceptable.
Okay. Yeah, no. If I was in that situation, I would be livid. I don't even know I'd probably sound more mad than you. I don't even know how I would handle that. I have one of those cars myself, and yes, I do race, and I would be inflamed. So we definitely want to handle this. You're lucky you got me on the phone. I don't usually work in this department, but I have some extra pull. What I'm gonna do right now is have a self-driving SUV come to your house right now. It's on its way now. It'll be there in about 30 minutes. They'll take you around for the next few days if we need it to take that long. And then we'll get a flatbed truck out to your house, pick up the car, and then we'll get that fixed at no cost to you. And also, just real quick, are you running the most latest beta software, or are you running the more stable software? I'm assuming you're running the stable software, right?
Yeah, it had
Just
to
want to
do with
under-
a new software update, something like that.
Oh,
I'll have to
oh,
check.
geez. All right, yeah, that's really important
Yeah,
for us
you
to know.
understand because you
Yeah,
race
yeah,
cars, you said yourself, so
yeah,
you
yeah,
totally get
yeah.
my perspective. Yeah.
No, no, I listen. We it's going to be hard for us to work through this and get you out the other side feeling confident to be able to race again. But if we have to, we'll go to DevOps. We'll go to any department in our. We'll pull people together and we'll get a new software update downloaded into your car that hasn't been developed yet to make it way more stable. So this will never be an issue for you or anybody else. But I'm really sorry you went through this. Like I said, I have one of these cars myself. I don't even know how I'd be if this happened to me. So listen, I mean, is there anything else I can say right now? The car's on its way. It says like 25 minutes. It should be there. Is that any kind of help for you?
No, I can tell that you're like me and you understand what racing is like because you have a car too. So you get how stressful this is. And I appreciate that you're going to
No.
make it right for us today. Yeah.
Okay. Listen. Again, my name is John, and I'm actually working under the COO, but today I'm in the HR department because it's beyond the scope of this conversation. But I'm going to go the distance for you, and I'm glad you're on the line. And anything we can do in addition, you can call into the secretary, ask for my direct line, and then I'll accommodate you any way I can through the process. And we just want to make this right. And sounds like you like the car, you bought the car, you raced the car. This is the car you're counting on. So we want you to be able to count on that car in the future as well, and our service and our ability to handle your complaints. But thank you for calling. Is anything else I can do for you today? I mean, what I'll do is I'll have my secretary call you and work out some more details of anything you might need. She could be a go-to for anything you have, any kind of. And then I'll be calling you directly myself to give you updates on the process of where the car is at. Again, you're going to have a 3-row SUV electric vehicle to take you around anything you have to do, full self-driving. You'll be handled appropriately until we get this car right, but it'll be no cost out of pocket to you. And then we'll actually deliver it to you, or you can pick it up, whatever your choice is.
Sure. No, that'll be fine today. And I appreciate you going through that effort to help us.
It's not a problem. That's what we're about. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Perfect. Perfect. I think that went really well. Once again, the goal here was to address a situation that, somebody that have a pretty big title, right? That doesn't usually handle this type of escalations, steps in, right? Handles the situation and also kind of leads by example, right? So even though if it wasn't his scope, John went ahead and just pretty much took care of the customer, took care of the escalation, and just pretty much, dissect the whole process to make sure that ultimately the company's being taken care of and everybody's looking at it, right? Like, so awesome. That's in my opinion, that's how you model the way, right? If anybody
Good.
is looking at this, from an external perspective, it's about just like, hey, whatever's in the ground, you pick it up and you run with it. So overall, good stuff.
All
Let's go ahead and post-mortem a little bit just
right.
on so we can address this particular section. So, what went right, what went wrong, what we could have done better. So I can take a stab at it and then maybe we can do a
Yeah.
rotation and we can all talk about it.
Sounds excellent.
Perfect. So from a what went right, I think what went right is like, you obviously, you stepped in, right? Like that's the right move every time. Right? Like from a leader perspective, I think, you stepped in an unknown scenario and took care of the customer best capabilities. And then, you mentioned that you will follow up. So I think definitely, that went excellent and you model that way. What could have gone better? I think what could have gone better, and this is just like me from my personal
Yeah, sure.
perspective. Definitely the moment that we start saying, hey, you're gonna get this at no cost, you're gonna get this, we're gonna take care of you. I think there's that cost, what's the limit? I don't know, maybe given empower, and that's something like a room for improvement. That's why we have this postmortem is, should some of the, I would say, leadership roles that are handling that area have a budget that say, hey, anything below 5,000, you are good to make that call. We segue in a different way. That's just kind of me thinking about obviously we want to take care of the customer, but I don't think that throwing away the house is also what we want to coach, macro level.
Sure.
That's just kind of like looking at it from my perspective. And obviously an opportunity to write some of those processes to make sure that whoever's running into a situation, they have that leverage without having to check with leadership. So that to me is kind of where I'm at.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's my feedback. What about you, William and Kyle?
Yeah, I would say your advice or observation is a good one. I kind of just threw the kitchen sink at it with the example, but I think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You got to empower people to be able to make their own decisions so they don't have to be checking with everybody on what to do. But yet there needs to be limits in place because it's a business. You gotta have you gotta be viable into the future and be sustainable. So you got to model sustainability in your decision making too. So I get that. It makes a lot of sense to me, and you deliver it well. And I would say, from my critique of myself, our positives to Kyle, he did sound pretty upset, like an upset customer would have been. That was a song. Anyways, and as far as like me myself, I think I could have let him vent a little bit more. I kind of made it a little bit about me helping him, not him saying what happened or what he's going through. I don't know how you felt about that, Kyle, but you can tell me in a minute. But like, I was playing hero a little bit instead of a concerned HR guy that's going to do what he's got to do or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's not all about me. It's about me helping the process of the bigger picture. It's me in the moment, but like, there's a lot more going on than just, you got to make it so like anybody can do what you're doing. Don't be like, I don't know if it make any sense, but that's where I'm at. So.
No, yeah, that
No.
does make sense.
That makes sense.
And yeah, I could tell that you were looking for any possible solution you could to help the situation, which is good to be like thinking outside the box and stuff. But yeah, the 2 points that I noticed were like, yeah, one, you like related to the customer, found a way to get him to understand that, hey, I see your point of view and your perspective. And two, the CEO was like delegating to his workers and his staff to say, oh, even though he's helping the customer directly today, which is unusual, he's saying, oh, I have, this staffing agent or whoever, this customer service rep who will handle this from now on. I'll give you their direct contact information. You'll have my contact information too. But yeah, a leader who knows where to delegate properly and have his leadership staff best support the situation as well was a good example.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. I think from a postmortem, we definitely address what worked. We address what didn't work, right? Mm-hmm. And then, obviously we provided feedback to you, Lim. I would say like, as we move on to the next, deliverable on this assignment is also based on the feedback that we provided, what improvements would you, what kind of plan, for lack of better words, like improvement plan would we want to put in place that would model this, right? I could think of a couple of things right away. So definitely an improvement plan, I wouldn't say self-improvement. I think like improvement plan overall, when some of those things happen, like the unplanned things, right? Like people were not available, people quit, and then somebody had to step on the fly. Some of the things that we could do from a process perspective, maybe have a third party number that we could delegate to. I know there's a lot of agencies that, when the power goes out or anything like that, we could put in place, right? Like a 1-800 delegation number that they can start taking calls on this type of nature. That's one that we could put as a process perspective. And then also, I think I touched a little bit on the fact that, hey, like when this scenarios happen, could we put some processes that allow people that are not in the field, meaning like not in that particular organization, to pick up a document or pick up like a how-to, right? And then have, leverages. Like, hey, like this is how this team handles this. And then also like this is the big no-nos and the big, okay, you're okay to do this. Obviously, it was an unplanned situation. It's not like an everyday incident that people quit and nobody's available. But if this was to happen again, I think having some of those procedures as documentation available to somebody that can just pick up and go would be valuable.
That's great. And I think, what about like interdepartmental communication? What if a few calls are about that new software download? Having a channel that goes directly to the developing guys and the management to let them know there's a problem with this download. We got to get something fixed here too. Like, I don't know how that exactly takes place mechanically, but
No. That's a good point, William. Like, maybe we should be able to, like, if the problem was like the software update was not stable, this is definitely an opportunity for us to bring up and close the gap between like the QA team, right? Like, hey, what is QA not testing before we're releasing some of the software? And maybe like, hey, this had a customer impact. So maybe having a little more of a checkpoint or a go or no go call before this major releases happen. And then if we found some of these issues, during this call, how can we prepare from like, hey, this is actually what happened. So do we have any scenarios, to mitigate that? So yeah, I think that would be a good personal improvement and also like organization improvement for future software updates that we might roll out.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. I think we're rocking and rolling on this one. So good on model the way. Now moving on to inspire a shared vision. 3, 2, 1. All right, this video is going to address the inspired a shared vision. And this particular key concept, focus, leaders create and communicate a compelling vision of the future that inspires a buy-in. In this particular scenario, John navigates a chaotic, high-pressure situation dealing with the governor of Texas, who's skeptical about switching diesels to EVs. Instead of playing it safe, John actually goes and takes a calculated risk and makes a bold leadership decision to involve the CEO, who's actually in a very important meeting right now. The moment builds up trust and showcases how believing in the company's mission, which is best in tech to market and valuing people, can lead to real opportunity. It reinforces the vision that is not just dreaming, but it's about timing, persuasion, and boldness. So in this particular scenario, we're going to walk you through this interaction where John is talking to the governor, and then at some point it has to loop in the CEO, and then the CEO closes a major deal thanks to John interrupting and making that calculated risk. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll play John, William will play governor, and then Kyle will play the CEO. So let's go ahead in 5, 3, 2, 1. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Governor? How's everything going, sir?
Doing quite fine. Today's super busy. I was just going to see if you could get the CEO on the line. I got some business to take care of. I'm making no bones about it. I don't talk to the regular. I mean, I'm not calling you regular, but I only talk to the big dog.
I can understand.
That's how I roll. That's how I roll.
I can understand,
I'm not trying to
Governor.
offend you. I'm not trying to offend you. I just want to talk to big dog. That's all.
Is there anything that and if there's anything that you need from the deal that you're not understanding, I mean, maybe I can handle it with you, sir. I mean, our CEO right now is in an important meeting, but I would like to answer any questions that you may have.
Fair enough. I got a situation here where we got a very Asian fleet of some major metropolitan areas across Texas. I'm not looking to put EVs out in the middle of the countryside. I know there's no charging stations out there, but I need someone to help me make this make sense. This is a big dog deal. I mean, the scope of this is large. It's huge. So like,
I understand.
Again, I don't want to be, you're talking billions of dollars if someone could help me make this make sense. So I want to talk to someone who can make me make this make it make sense. I mean,
sure.
Like, so
I understand. I understand. And just want to let you know, sir.
Your man's in a meeting, but I don't think he'll be disappointed to hear that kind of question. But it's up to you. I mean,
we value, if there's something that we live by in this company, sir, is that we value our people, and we also, we're the best market, when it comes to tech. So I understand where you're coming from. Let me go ahead and
one last thing I want to tell you. I wouldn't push so hard on this because I know the man's in the meeting. I respect the man too. I've heard what he's done. That's why I'm making the phone call in the first place. But I got a bunch of contracts right about ready to drop on some diesels and some gas burners, and like these contracts are going to hit the past the point of no return soon if I don't make a decision. So like this is the time to make it. Like I don't want to interrupt the man, but like it's either now or it's not gonna.
Say no more, sir. No worries. Let me go ahead and get get our CEO on the line. I know, if you don't mind, I'll put you in a brief hold, 5 minutes, 2 minutes max. Let me go ahead and talk to my CEO. I'm going to bring this down to this meeting. Absolutely.
Appreciate you, son.
Hey, Kyle, how you doing? I'm sorry to interrupt you right
CEO
now.
Here.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, no problem.
It does go against a bit of policy that I am in an important meeting.
I understand, but we do have an emergency here opportunity. We got the governor of Texas here on the phone. They're looking to jump from diesel to EV, and I think it'll be very impactful if you can jump in the call, bring a little bit of the credibility that we bring into the company. We're the best in market and we value our people. I think it'll go a long way, sir. So if you don't mind, if you can step out at least 4 minutes to have a conversation with the governor, I think it'll go a long way. Do you mind stepping it up?
What you're saying, talking about providing electronic vehicles to the state of Texas would be very important for the vision of the company. So you know what? I'll take the time to step out and take that call right now. Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Let me go to loop us in. Hey, Mr. Governor, I have here Kyle, my CEO. As I promised, we're a little bit in a crunch time, but your business is important to us. The state of Texas is more important to us as well. We're here to make sure that we make it right and address any questions that you may have.
Hey, sir, I know you're in a busy meeting. I'm not trying to bother you. I'm not trying to waste your time. That's why I want to talk to you. You talk to me. I got some contracts already to drop on some diesel and gas burners, and I don't make a decision in something pretty soon and maybe making a switch to electric. It's not going to happen now. Everyone's talking about your cars. Everyone knows about your cars. Everyone talking about efficiencies, and efficiencies matter to me because you're talking thousands of these cars running around. That can mean a lot of money over time. And times are changing. I just want someone that we make this make sense. Does it make any sense at all for us to be considering that for all of our major metropolitan areas?
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. It is difficult to do the transition from a diesel fleet all the way to an electric vehicle fleet, and it can be suspicious as to whether it'll work and the transition will be successful. But I can guarantee that over time these electronic vehicles will be more efficient. They will take less wear and tear than the diesel engines will, and as the diesel fuel becomes less attainable and sustainable, the electronic vehicles will definitely provide a better
Excellent. Good summary.
Transport for the people. Yeah.
Exactly. Good summary. I know you got to get back to me. How long would it take you to get me some real numbers that I could look at for time value? 1 year, 2 year, 10-year kind of time frames on what's projected.
Yeah. Well, I know that that the charging stations are a bit of a problem. So that a risk that we'll take today is we'll commit that. We'll make sure that there are enough charging stations within each mile radius so that the vehicles around your area in Texas will never run out. They have a 300-mile range, and we'll make sure to put in a charging station, let's say every 50 miles.
So I got about 2 weeks before I got to sign the deals on these contracts for all these gas and diesel burners. Could you give me some numbers in a week to give me just a rough idea of what kind of scope we're looking at? Like
so we can start installing those stations right away starting next week, and we'll be able to roll out I'd say 5 to 10 every week, so within a few months period we'll be able to have enough to cover your whole quadrant.
And then could you give me some kind of cost benefit analysis of diesel gas burners versus going the electric route, that I could look at those numbers before I commit?
Yeah, right. It depends on the size of your fleet, but overall we find that the moving from a fossil fuel or an older fuel to electronic vehicles over time, it's incredibly more efficient, upwards of 80%. Yeah.
Mr. Governor and Kyle, I actually have some preliminary numbers right now. I'll run them to you, Kyle. I'll send them to you, have your blessing, and then if everything looks good, Mr. Governor, you'll have that by the end of the afternoon so you can review the numbers.
Today.
All right, sir?
Yes, sir. Coming in today already?
Yes, sir. Yep.
That's how I like it.
Perfect, guys. All right. Well, sounds like a deal. Thank you all for your time. I think we can all go back to our days. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Boom.
Thank you.
Cut. All right. So in that aspect, from a post-mortem, let's go through it, right? So what went right, what went wrong, and what could have been improved. So let's get the rotation going. From what I think it could have went right, I think we looped in the right people at the right time. We didn't overcomplicate it either. So that obviously speaks to everybody's time and sense of urgency and respectful of each other time. You got the governor in the line, and also you got the CEO who's also busy. Something that we could have done better. I think that perhaps I could have looped. I mean, and it's just like, macro level. Maybe we could have been a little more, the CEO could have been a little more on the loop on this existing deals that are at a governor level. Say, hey, that if I say, hey, pineapple, is the governor calling this deal is about to happen? He's more of aware and has a little more context of what's happening, and maybe like that prep work. But that's just like me being like overachiever on that.
It's almost like teeing it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, this can happen anytime. So yeah, that's my feedback. William, any feedback from your end, sir?
I thought you handled it good and that you didn't wait too long, because if you frustrate somebody who's high level, they you don't know what the next move might be. You know what I mean? You didn't have make the guy have to like, you already knew where he's come from, his style, and you delivered. And then I think from Kyle's perspective, I think he did a good job at, if I'm being interrupted and someone bowls and talk to me, I'll do something bold back. We're not even talking about giving you cars. We're talking about giving you infrastructure too. And we don't even got the deal figured out yet. Then I'm like, well, what's the numbers? And they're like, and then I was wanting numbers within a week or two. And then see this John comes back in and, right away is like, well, we'll have that by the end of the day. I'm like, by the end of the day, what? Like, I was impressed with just the whole idea of like, we're talking infrastructure numbers within a day. That gives me more time than I thought I would have to make the decision.
Nice.
That's where I was at. Yeah.
Sure. No, perfect. Kyle, anything from your end, sir?
Right. No, not too much. Yeah, I thought that, the CEO tried to prioritize the vision of the company in this scenario, that this vision of the future of the EVs over, fossil fuels is so important that he would take the risk to try and put some resources towards that, including his time. So yeah, I thought that was a good demo.
I was going to say,
awesome.
I was going to say one more thing, like, just as far as like macro critique. Yeah, I think not waiting too long. The timing is of the essence. You showed them that you respected them by making the timing not be prolonged. You're not getting into an argument. Who are you to argue with them? And this is a deal that the guy's bringing to you. And I think also you coming back in kind of really just like put the bow on the package. I mean, like you timed up full circle. You did more than the guy was asking for. So like, I think you went the distance of like, you value people, you bring technology to market, right? And the other one is, what was our three? We have three overriding.
Yeah, no, I see,
calculated risks. Yeah.
Calculated risk. Yeah. You got it.
And you know what, like overall, like I think, just hearing Kyle, like how proactive he was being about, like at some point he's like, yes, this is a good deal. Yes, this is the governor. This is a big deal. Like you can hear in his tone, you can hear it. And that's something to gauge, right? Like, I think that is what talks the culture, or like, hey, like you and I, Kyle and I at some point understood without really even having to talk to each other that this was a big deal moment. And then like we would go above and beyond just to close it. So I think that's kind of like, that's part of the leadership role. And that's as a self-improvement moment, or like what could have done better, a plan. That's why I kind of mentioned, in the beginning, hey, like is Kyle as a CEO aware that, we are having monthly or weekly check-ins with the governor because we're trying to close this deal? And if it's not in place, maybe we should be putting in place like those tier 1, tier 2 deals that are like in the hopper, and like Kyle can be called on any moment on call to make a decision. So I think that having that, maybe some people call it the 90-day report. It's like anything that's within like a 30 or a 60-day scope, it's on the hopper. So like if that process is not in place, or that report is not in place, maybe it's a good idea to put it as an improvement of this process, so the CEO knows that, hey, this is happening at any point. Like you might get that call.
Yeah, I was impressed with how fast Kyle came back. It was like there was no thinking about it. Like, when do you want the infrastructure? Boom. Like there was not even, it's not a question of whether to save money with the cars. We're already talking next level. They can be everywhere in the state. Like I was like, okay, but you gotta make me take it back. Like, wow.
Awesome. All right, guys, that went well. Awesome. So inspired by a shared vision. I think, like the employee and the leader, CEO, share the same vision, which is closing, something as major with Texas, and then, moving forward. So the scenario that we're proposing is John questions a bottleneck causing AI policy. He pretty much is, looking at a process that is a very lengthy process, because an AI looks at it code by code on a product review before it launches. John comes in and he's going to propose to change the way, to challenge the process, and have a way of peer-to-peer real-time review to make sure that meet the product launch and not is not delayed due to the fact that AI will take 3 weeks instead of 1 week and a half that we needed to make sure that we meet the deadline. So in this scenario, William will play the pushback, right? The person that's done the same old way, and Kyle will play as the innovator to propose a new strategy so we can actually meet the actual product launch. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. So what seems to be the situation? We want to launch this product for the expo next week, but it sounds like, according to plan, that's not gonna happen.
Well, I mean, our company's been built on a long-standing process of what works. I mean, I don't know if changing up in the game right now makes a whole lot of sense. If we're doing something that works, why would you not want to keep doing that? I mean, just help me better understand this, just so I know. I'm not saying I won't listen, but I just don't help me understand why it would make sense to not do it the way we've been doing it.
Right. So previously, yeah, we've had like an AI bot review each line of code to verify that the program will have no crashes or issues before
Yeah,
we deploy it. But
sure.
yeah, now I'm being told that you're right. That's going to take 3 weeks on the new build that we want. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem is our expo is next week. Um, I'm proposing instead of having the AI bot review the code, that's going to take 3 weeks. What if we have one of our code engineers review it himself, overview, and if we could have we could greenlight it that way and have like maybe an emergency override that engineer could watch over during the deployment, and that way, if there is an issue, that would act as a fail safe. He could um, hit the button.
I mean, it's interesting. It sounds interesting to me. I mean, I'm a little uncomfortable doing it a different way if we've had success, but I know that those new drones going to market are getting pretty cutting edge, and I'm almost getting a little uncomfortable with our product. I mean, I think our product's a better product as far as quality, but like they got some pretty heady features, man. It seems they're they're moving into the future at a pretty rapid rate. I mean, this is drone technology. If we don't get to that expo in time, I don't even know. I mean, these young guys, they want the best, most innovative stuff. I mean, they might not keep it for 5 years anyways. Like, so we got this great product
Right.
for the last 10 years, but if we don't get it to market, so I mean, I'm open minded to the idea. But help me understand a little bit better. What do you think we need to do at this point? What would make sense to you?
Right. I think that in order to make the expo, it's important to show that our innovation in our technology. And if we have no new updates to show, then we might not get our next investor funding, and we might not have a next quarter. So I think in order to keep things moving, and again to keep things safe, we'll have some live people standing watch and our code to observe. But I think that would be safe enough to make our demo next week. And again, this is just the expo demo to show people what we're doing. We will have the time to do a full code review before we launch to the public.
I mean, I guess as far as our customers are concerned too, it's like they want an innovative product. They want to know that we care about what they want, not just what we want. And then we also want to bring this thing to market. Yeah, I don't know, man. This isn't the way I've normally done things, but I feel like we're at some kind of tipping point or precipice where, or like the Dow poo, when you come to a fork in the road, you just take it. You got to take it. And I'm almost at this. We're going to have to do something with this. I mean, we can talk about it a little more if you want, but like just work out the details. But something's got to go down, or this is the biggest. This is the biggest expo of the year globally, and we're going to come to
Right.
market with a product that's not really. Yeah, it's a good product, but it's not. It's not doing what the other products do. I mean, I don't know.
It's
Something's got
definitely
to.
a risk, but I think it's a calculated risk. And, I will take personal responsibility if we do run into a substantial failure that ends up causing us issues on the main stage next week. But, I
I
have faith
appreciate.
in our
Yeah,
engineering team that they'll be able to make it work.
yeah, I appreciate you taking personal responsibility. That's noble of you, but like, I'd like to understand where you're coming from a little better, so that I'll stand with you and take personal responsibility right there with you. I'd like us all to be on a shared vision of taking that personal responsibility all together. But no, I appreciate you stepping forward, because then it's making another, like myself, step forward, and hopefully we get everyone else on board. That'd be beautiful. Be great.
Excellent. Sounds good.
All right.
And
Perfect,
see.
guys. Perfect, guys. All right. I like that. So I like the pushback. William, you're a tough cookie, man. Tell you what, man, you're a tough cookie. I
Oh,
like it. I like
oh
it.
yeah.
But all right, so on this one, on the challenger process, I think it went really good. From a post-mortem perspective, William, what are some of the things that you think it went right? Some of the things that could have done better. And then obviously, how do we right-size this
I,
process?
I think critiquing myself, I would say I need to be concerned a little bit more with the why questions and let Kyle explain himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, why is that? Like, instead of like just like trying to instantly understand it and just snap decision, just get a little bit more depth of knowledge before you make that decision. It's like, so just help me understand why this makes sense, or why do you feel this way, or just get him to speak more and open ended questions versus choppy, closed ended questions where I don't think we get the same amount of options or discernment, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Okay.
That
So, and
that'd be the critique negative.
no, that's good.
On the positive, I think there's a lot of good stuff going on. I mean, as far as like you're pushing back, where he's challenging me for something that's important. I need to realize it's important too. We're having a shared vision. We're looking at like the stand on board with cutting edge, what the people want, what do we want. Like there's a lot of things going on, and we demonstrate positively too. I'm just trying to think of a negative as well, just as far as the critique. So
Sure.
that's what I'm
Sure.
saying.
Sure.
I thought Kyle
Yeah,
was
I think it
great. I thought
demonstrates
Kyle was great.
like
You did
the
great with like.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Sorry. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think it demonstrates sort of the complexity of, what you have to balance as a leader, especially thinking about, a product, the engineering team, what the public is going to think about it, how they're going to use it, but also, your company, your business, staying afloat, your shareholders, what needs to happen on a certain timeline. And sometimes those timelines are clashing. So it's really challenging to sort of sit in the moment and have to make that decision. Yeah. So I think that's a good demo.
Yep. No, I think that, from my end, some of the things that went really well was the fact that you explained to him, hey, like we have an engineer, right? Explain the how this is gonna work, right? So awesome. Yeah, as a leader, like tell me this is sane, right? Like you're giving me a proposal, but like how are you gonna make sure that this kind of goes through? So like, look, there's gonna be an override. I'm gonna be there. I'm taking accountability. Like I'm putting actually my name in there. So just bringing yourself forward to that accountability perspective, I think speaks a lot from a leader. The second thing that from what didn't go so well, honestly, I think it went very well, man. I'm trying to think of anything that didn't go well. And personally, like William was, very on a sense of pushback of, hey, this is how we usually do things, and it works. Why are you breaking the wheel if it's not, But
Yeah.
obviously, Kyle, mentioning the fact that, hey, man, like we got to launch, right? Like, we got to expo that if we don't meet it, this could be X amount of money dollars that we don't get. So how about we just kind of like MacGyver this whole situation on a calculated risk? So I think, this is the type of scenarios that sometimes on the fly need to happen. And this is how they happen. How do we make the process better? How do we put like a long-term approach on this? Perhaps, and this is just kind of thinking about out loud. Do we have senior engineers that are used to this type of structure on the fly, right? So do we have a plan B to AI always, right? What if AI breaks? What if something happens from a security breach? Like, what's the plan B always? Is that a process already? Do we have documentation that? Do we have one or two people that on the fly could be that senior leader, senior engineer that get staffed on the shoulder, that knows how the AI works, right? That boat works, maybe build it, but also on the fly for this kind of moments can come in kind of like an on call. Do we have those guys? If not, do we need to hire them?
So,
Do we need to trade them and bring them up to speed so that kind of happens?
so you're saying like it needs to be dynamic, and what I was saying is you'd always have to answer the question: are we really innovative and cutting edge? Are we really? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, and if we are, how do we address getting there if we're not, and staying there, or being pushed that envelope, in a reliable way? And the one thing I was going to say also about the way Kyle he took a stand. He modeled taking a stand, which I think is good. Like he put he put himself on the line. Like he put himself out there. Like, look, I'm willing to take personal responsibility myself. Like he stepped up before anyone stepped up. He's shown that like he's willing to take the heat. It's that important. Like he's taking personal risk even. If
Yeah.
but then I think as a macro level, like you're saying, Jamie, like having processes in place to encourage that, where you're not gonna you won't feel threatened to like totally lose your job, or you know what I mean. Like at first you're gonna have to like take some risk, even really high risk if there's no process in place. But there's a process in place to be a little less risky. You know what I mean? There's always some risk there. That's all I was
The key,
saying.
I think the key concept is if risk was measured by percentage, right? And we are at 80% risk right here. How do we long term bring that percentage down? So by
Okay.
introducing a process where, hey, I have a lead engineer that's on call always, that reduces the risk by default, right? Like we
Mhm.
now have a plan long term around this. So how do we reduce that risk when this scenarios kind of happen? And that's
Yeah,
having a plan in place in case if it happens.
I got you.
Cool. I think that works. Fourth one, not last one, but almost there. Enable others to act. So on this particular scenario, we're addressing enable others to act. The key concept focus on this and is leaders build trust and empower others by fostering collaboration and strengthening others. In this particular scenario, John notices that the QA team is blocked and under supported. Rather than just advising, he actively removes barriers. He grants access and sets up cross-functional collaboration and empowers Mario, who's Kyle in this scenario, to lead. The stretch goal motivates, the overwhelming scenario, and he creates frequent check-ins to demonstrate ongoing support. So full circle, we're just empowering Mario to grant him access. We have check-ins, and overall, just give him a green light to do what he does best, which is lead as well. That's how we empower him. So in about 5 seconds, we're going to go ahead and start this scenario. I'll play John, and Kyle will play Mario. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey Mario,
All
how's it
right.
going? Talk to me. What's going on out there?
It's going all right, but it's a bit tough. Our team is having a problem right now. We've been tasked with building this new energy distribution tool, which should be great for the new project. But the problem is we don't have access to the diagnostic data, and that's preventing us from finishing the job. And, DevOps has the data, but they're not giving it to us.
Okay, I see what's going on, Mario. Obviously security is super important. DevOps is very big on that. So what we can do, that tool allows us to isolate certain projects. So how about we go ahead and I'll talk to DevOps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an isolated access, grant you access for this particular project. You don't need to see the rest of it. That way we can stay compliant with security and those cross-functioning teams. And I'll talk to the DevOps to make sure that they give you that access. Also, what we can do is let's bring DevOps, your team, and my team. We'll go ahead and create a series of 2 check-ins a week, right? Just to make sure the process is going well. If they have any questions or concerns, we'll address it, right? Make sure that if you have any concerns, we address it on the spot with those folks. And then after 3 to 4 weeks, we'll see how kind of we let things kind of roll. More importantly, we'll make sure the company stays secure, but also that we empower you guys to get rolling, right? This is definitely a heavy deadline that we need to meet. How does that sound, Mario?
Yeah, I think that might work. You're right that we only need the diagnostic data. We don't need the whole department's information. So that limited access should work for this. And, I like the idea of that collaboration committee that will meet twice a week. So we make sure that we have all the info we need.
Okay, perfect. That sounds great. So what we're going to do is, especially on those check-ins, we'll check the progress on how things are going, right? So if there's any blockers or is anything that, we're not, maybe we need to loop in a new team, then we have a collective, common ground among all the teams. And that way we can, obviously have this health check-in. And also hopefully, Mario, with now you having access to this, diagnostics, down the line, you're going to be able to kind of move more, I would say, quicker on your development since now we have some of this access to this data. So full circle, I think is going to be great. Any
Right. It opens
questions?
up a channel for future collaboration as well. I love it. Nope, that sounds great.
Perfect. All right. Cut.
Awesome.
All right. Perfect, guys. All right. So let's go ahead and go from a post-mortem perspective. Um, William, you let us know. What did you see? What did you not see? What did you like? What you did not like?
Overall, not a lot of critiquing on a negative level, but I'll just give you some of my thoughts. I thought John validated. I think it's good that Mario spoke up because he had a concern. He wasn't afraid to speak up. John validated his concern by repeating what his concern was. And then John executed real time change. And then by saying you want to work together and have access to the other people's stuff, it shows that like everyone's important, every department's important. It's not just the dev guys, you know what I'm saying? And then John provided structure, which would probably decrease Mario's anxiety and shows that he's supported. And then John must care about me because I've never felt this way as I was getting this feedback. This guy actually is making real time change for me. And then I thought it was good that John, after all the warmer parts and the nice parts, he also said, you know, that this deadline's coming. We need to get on it. He gave a structure that, okay, I'm going to empower you to do it, but there is urgency here. It's not about just giving you empowerment and then nothing happens. We're giving you empowerment because something's going to need to happen, like on a transactional standpoint. And then I think when you started focusing on collective and the health, it was good that Mario repeated back what he meant by that, because then there's like a shared information. The information was shared, it was contained and understood. Basically, you're on the same page. So that's like so. Anyways,
That,
that's
that-
all the
that's a good
positives.
point. That's a good point, William.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of us like sometimes are so eager to share, but not to listen and understand. Like, hey, like you know what I'm saying, right? Like you do. Can you repeat kind of like what Professor has been saying? Repeat what I just told you, right? Like
Right,
to make
right.
sure that you're getting it. So yeah, that's a good, valid point. Thank you, William. Anything from your side of the sense, Kyle?
Yeah, no, just reflecting all that as well. I liked that John was also playing defense for the DevOps team while he was helping Mario and the QA and engineering team solve their problem. He also said, I can't just give you free access to the DevOps team. That creates a new risk, and we don't want to create more risk when we're trying to mitigate some. So I love that that worked as well with
So
the limited access. We'll give you the data you need, but no more access than you need. So that
that's
fit in
all.
well.
That's solid. That's solid.
Awesome. Awesome. Perfect. From a process perspective that we could do, I would say, like how do we become better? It would be maybe perhaps that, right? Right, Kyle? Like you brought up a pretty good point. Like, is everybody aware of the access limitations, but also the access that you could be getting at an isolated level, right? And if that's not there, then can we look at it from a tool perspective that, hey, our tools design in that aspect, like segregated, information, right? So if it's not there, let's create it because we do have teams that need access, but don't need access to all of it. So an opportunity to address a system, at its granular level and also at a process level, like, hey, like this could empower and make us quicker if we just have segregated sections, right? Like that would help out, keep everybody happy.
That also shows like the shared vision, bringing it all together. And I think people will work more efficiently if that's all shared and brought together. It shows them the importance of all those steps
Yep,
and
yep,
what it
yep.
means. Yeah.
And it's information too. Like some people might not even know. I deal with that all the time. That you can have just like access to X. Like I didn't know I could just like participate in that aspect. So awesome, awesome. I think full circle, all good. All right, guys. Last but not least, we have encourage the heart. Go. Okay. So all right. So we have encourage the heart as a concept. The biggest thing around this concept is the leaders recognize contributions and celebrate team victories. This scenario that we're trying to propose is after a grueling sprint, John just doesn't move on. He takes the time to publicly recognize the team and celebrate the team. He celebrates and it's creative, it's personable, and it ties to the shared values as a team. By turning the achievement into a shared moment of pride, John elevates morale, reinforces motivation, and bonds the team together. That's what we're doing. So I'll be playing John, and William and Kyle will play the coders that participated in this particular sprint. So we're gonna go ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey William, hey Kyle, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going all
It's
right.
going good.
That was a run. That was a 2 week. Oh man, we got it done though. We got
Yeah.
it done, and I'm
Real
Yeah.
glad we
tired.
got
Can't
it.
believe we got that code finished in time, and we got those self-driving hover vans to do that real-time translation. But yeah, I'm beat, but I can't believe we accomplished it.
It's insane.
Guys,
It's insane. It actually did better than we planned on doing too.
guys, Teams doesn't allow me, but I did have the Enrique Iglesias hero background song ready for you guys because you guys
Yeah.
essentially are my heroes. Thank you so much for.
Oh,
Thank you, no, and I truly mean this, William. You guys went above and beyond for this, William. I'm telling you, man. If we had an Avengers moment, you were the Hawk at this, right, man? You
okay.
crushed this
That's cool.
sprint. You
I'll watch
killed
the
it,
movie
and
tonight. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
you know what? And funny that you said, Kyle and William, I actually got you guys as it's a small token of my appreciation, but I do want you guys to take off the second half of the day. I did get you
Oh,
guys
nice.
actually some gift cards so you can go and get and watch that movie that is coming out. It's a party of two,
Oh
so feel
man,
free to take somebody else and with you.
let's
Make sure
go.
that
Woo.
you
Let's
get the
go.
vouchers, get some food,
Hell
okay,
yeah.
and just forget about work today because you guys
All right.
totally killed it, and I
All right.
appreciate everything that went in. Long
Thank
nights,
you.
long days, but you guys definitely made a difference on the bottom line of the company, and this wouldn't work without you guys. So please take this deserved time off, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Awesome. Just feels good knowing that I contributed, to something so important to the company. Yeah.
John, I just want you. I don't know if you ever if you get in a phrase like you're leading us through these difficult situations, like they seem impossible when they first start. It's like how are we supposed to do that? And then you just start grinding. You didn't even leave the office for 3 days, right?
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I would not feel this comfortable if it wasn't because I was working with you guys. I know you guys were on the team. I know you guys were going to get it done. We didn't know how in the beginning, but I know you guys were a part of this initiative, and that automatically by default, I know is going to be success. So once
Okay.
again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't thank you guys enough for all the hard work. You guys keep going at it and just setting new thresholds. So I
All right.
appreciate. Please, please, please take this time off, shut the phone off and the computer. And I'll take care of the rest for today. All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a good rest of your day.
You're welcome.
Cut. All right, guys. All good. So let's go ahead, postmortem this. What went right? What went wrong? And I mean, if there's anything that we could do from a process standpoint moving forward. William, please go ahead.
This is what my critique. I was trying. You're like a bigger dog in the situation, and I'm trying to give you positive praise. Is that even appropriate for the younger guy to say, "Hey, you're doing a good job"? It's like obviously you're doing a good job. You're the one leading the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know where I'm supposed to be with that, but like I just wanted to show you that I cared, and it's like then I don't want to be a brown noser either or something. I don't want to be like
I see what you're saying.
blowing sunshine up your whatever. It's like I just want to say, hey, thanks for being a good leader because like it inspired me to. I also want to give feedback too that like at first I felt like I didn't even know how it was gonna happen, and it all just came together, like just encapsulating my experience. But like I didn't know if that's an appropriate thing to say at that time, or just like, hey, thanks for the meeting, let's go, or
No, I think it keeps it real, man. I think like that keeps it real in the sense of that vulnerable moment. I think that's great, man. I see it sometimes like when somebody like look now like this didn't work out if you weren't here or like it was a collaboration moment. So I don't take that as a I'm just trying to suck up, but I do know people like that. But especially on a celebration where people are having like emotional high fives, it's okay to kind of have that bro moment. It's like, yeah, man, we did great. So I personally don't have any problem with that. So, but I think it's encouraging. It does bring the leader and the employee closer when you can say, hey, man, we just got through that. You know what I mean? Like you went through that, but I got through that too. Like we both were under fire and we got it done. So moving forward brings that credibility and that like smooshiness into it. So I think it's good.
I also like the way that Kyle brought up the fact that he repeated the victory week. Like we really got this thing done the way we said. Like he's just like it's like he was focused on we did it. We did it. Like bam. It's not just about how hard we worked or this, that, or the other. We got that project done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feeling like you
Yeah.
contributed to something that mattered to the company. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Things that could have been done better, or like from a process perspective. I mean, encourage the heart at its core, like contributions to celebrate team victories. I personally think that this shouldn't happen just when we do really well, right? I think this should happen periodically, whether we do well or not. uh, the fact that we are still here, the fact that we're still kind of going at it, the fact that we're still showing up, it's a victory, right? So I think like weekly things, celebrating the team. Hey, for example, like, hey, you're the bug killer, man. Like you went out there and you were the ones that fixed the most bugs on that code this week. We might have not launched the product, but you excel at something, and therefore we're celebrating you. I think having those check-in moments, all hands meetings, they usually happen once a month or depending on the frequency, but celebrating people for doing their job well, it goes a long way. So I think from a process level, if that's not in place, it shouldn't be just a product launch. It should be like a just showing up, doing hard work, whether we fail or succeed, because long term we're going to be here no matter the project. That's just my two takes.
Okay. Yeah, it's like everything matters. It's not just
pretty much.
Like you and also you can't always be peaking, right? That could even lead to burnout. I mean, in theory, right?
Exactly. It's just showing that you care, like, right? Like you encourage the heart, because my leader cares, man. Like I keep showing up no matter what. So I think that's super important. I learned that the hard way in sales and in software development. Sales, I could have had a killer month, right? I sold above and beyond my quota, but then I'm back to square one the next month. Does that mean I suck? If I had a bad month the next month after me killing it, does that mean I suck? No, it just means that maybe I had a bad month, but I should still I keep showing up. And in product management and product development, like, dude, it takes a year to product launch. Are you gonna tell me like people are not going to feel burnout throughout that year? You got to have check-ins and keep the guys pumped. If not, we're not going to make it there. So full circle, I think that encouragement is super important.